I'm Steve Morrow, Director of Sales at Brooks Equipment. In this video series, we're talking to the next generation of the fire and life safety industry. We asked them what's working, what's not, and what are they doing to sustain the FED business that they're running. Today with me, I'm glad to introduce Jason Getz, President of Getz Fire Equipment, and Jesse Getz, CEO of Getz Fire Equipment Company. Thank you both for coming on with us today, guys.
Yeah, glad to be here.
You're welcome.
All right, well, let's get right into it. Tell us about the moment or your story that convinced you that you wanted to enter the fire and life safety industry. We'll start with Jesse.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a specific time that I decided that this is what I wanted to do. Looking back, I do remember there was a project in third or fourth grade where we had to write down or draw what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I remember writing down, I think, that I wanted to work at Getz Fire Equipment. And continuing into junior high, just coming in with Dad on Saturdays to work, whether it was cleaning offices or washing trucks. Those things seemed fun at the time. And there was also times where I'd work with my grandfather, washing down concrete or parking lots and just other fun things like that. So I think looking back, this is where I always wanted to be.
Cool. How about you, Jason? I'm sure you may have a similar story, but let's hear about yours.
Yeah, similar. I grew up working in the business on Saturdays, like Jesse. Dad usually sweetened the deal by stopping at Grandma's house to get pancakes. So if I wanted the pancakes, I usually went to work with him. So we, washed trucks, emptied the garbage, did general cleaning, worked through high school part-time and also through college. Looking back, it may have been good to get experience working somewhere else at a different company or industry. But at the same time, the knowledge from those years, just creating a good work ethic and building relationships with other employees is irreplaceable. So, I don't think it was a single moment where I knew this is what I wanted to do, but I think it just grew over time. And after college, I think this is where I wanted to be.
So Jesse, tell me, how about the transition to taking over the business from your family? How's that going?
At times, can be challenging. It's not just an employee-employer relationship or an outside interested party looking at purchasing the business or transitioning. The family dynamic can make things a little difficult, especially if there's negotiation or one side is not 100% on board on how things should go. You also have the transition dynamic with the rest of the staff. Who's in charge? Who do I go to when there's a problem? It has been helpful that we've been talking about this transition for a number of years, but it also adds to those questions over that period of time. Who do I go to and who's in charge? So it has its challenges, but has definitely been a rewarding process.
So Jason, let's talk a little bit about technology. What have you implemented or pushed for your company to use technology-wise? When I started in the business, it was calling at 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, we don't have the old car cell phones anymore, or even the radios that we used to have. Whatever technology we want to use, we want it to be customer focused and we want it to make us more efficient. So one form of that comes in getting rid of paper, whether that's software to complete inspections or software to help us do sales quotes electronically, but also for internal paper forms, whether that's time off requests or newsletters. So that's technology to accomplish that. Other technology that we've used includes cloud storage. We don't have servers here on site to maintain, what we're doing right now. Virtual meetings has been extremely important, especially the past year. Customer portals is another form of technology. So we're always looking at ways to make us more efficient or help us relate to customers better.
Gotcha. Talking about technology, what have some of the challenges you've had with the technology?
Yeah, it comes with a lot of challenges. First off, cost is a big challenge. It's not free. It's great tools, but both the hardware and software can get really expensive, and we tend to be a little bit picky. So whenever we pick a software, we typically have some customizations that goes along with that, so that adds to the cost. So whatever software you're looking at, when you figure out your budget, a good practice might be to double the time and cost, because it always ends up taking longer and costing more than you originally think. Another challenge is just knowing what software is right for you. There's a lot of great options out there. So it's important that you don't make a quick decision. We've made wrong decisions in the past about software that have had negative impacts for many years, and you can't just pick one software and then switch over right away. It takes time to move from one to another. So it's important to take your time when you're evaluating those. Another challenge is just getting buy-in from your staff, whether it's in the field or office. It's important to involve them through that process of making those decisions and helping them to understand how it's going to help them be more efficient, or the company overall be more efficient. And finally, there's many more, but another one I can think of is just the risk of using technology. There's things in the news that we've heard of recent attacks or hacks. So with that, there's more cost for safeguards and training that goes involved with that.
Well, that's really an informative answer. I really appreciate that one. Getting back to you, Jesse, now on the technician front, when you're going to hire technicians, and what do you try to do that ensures a good hire, and how do you retain them?
Good question, Steve. There are several competing factors to finding good people. We compete with other companies, other fire equipment companies. We compete with, at this point in time, competing with the government, and just a shortage of people wanting to work. As far as what makes a good technician, I think there's several factors. That's aptitude, attitude, just the ability to communicate effectively with anyone, whether that's within the company or at a customer's location. So that could include someone if they're the janitor to the CEO, you have to be able to communicate with anyone that you come in contact with. Other things we look for is just maybe duration of previous employment. Are they a committed individual? Do they have an outgoing personality? Things like that. I mean, we can train them the technical side of the business and how to do what we do, but who they are and their work ethic is something we can't change, and something we really look forward to make sure they have those things before we start. And how to retain them. We want to match their compensation with their skill level and effort. We want to provide them with all the tools needed to do their job and have an easy and understandable flow of information. So whether that's internally, information about customers, work orders, intercompany documents, how all that information flows. We want that to be easy and then them to be able to understand it so they're not frustrated. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, just show them that you appreciate all their hard work.
That's really great. Jason, what are a few things the next generation leadership like yourselves need to focus on to keep the fire and life safety industry healthy?
Yeah, I think it takes involvement. When I think of code changes or being involved in the industry, being aware of changes in the industry. So I think we need to be involved. We can't just sit back and let things happen. Another thing to be focused on, like Jesse mentioned, finding good employees and technicians is one of the hardest struggles. We can't do everything, so it takes good employees. So finding them and retaining them is important to be focused on. And then, just adapting to change in whatever form. As you think throughout the company's life cycle, it has to adapt to change, whether that's in the industry, in technology, certainly has changed over the 60 years, almost 65 years that we've been in business, and the workforce generations changes. So those are some of the things that I can think of that we need to be focused on in the next generation.
Cool. Jesse, you have anything to add?
Yeah, one thing I think is just remind customers how important our service is. To provide the best possible service, and I know that's kind of cliche, but keep in mind that code compliant is just a minimum, and we need to train our staff on how to be life safety professionals, not just a person that's there to put a tag on an extinguisher or alarm panel or some type of system. I go back to how people can best succeed in the industry. As Jason said, they need to be involved. There's groups out there trying to maybe eliminate the need for our industry or trying to push us out of it. So we need to show the importance of what we do each day to keep people and property safe.
Well, those are all good points. And to all the technicians out there, they do have not only a responsibility that they have the ability to protect lives and save properties and have a good career. Well, Jason and Jesse, I want to thank you guys again for your time. We wish you the best of luck out there and continued hard work. We know pays off. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To everybody listening, we thank you and we hope you found this interview helpful. And are you next generation fire life safety industry? We want to talk to you. Email us at marketingsupport@brooksequipment.com.